Hey everyone, would you expose this person publicly to warn others, or keep it private and handle it yourself? Comment expose or private and explain. Now let's dive into the story. It was supposed to be lunch? That's what they said. Just a quick bite at the club before the big day. I should have known better when I pulled into the circular driveway at Lexington Country Club and saw the valet already waiting like I was late to court. My name's Brianna Cole. I'm 32. I live in Lexington, Kentucky. I'm a third-generation firefighter, born and built for heat. But this was a different kind of fire. They had me meet them in a private room upstairs, away from the brunch crowd. Linen tablecloth, a pitcher of cucumber water, and a thick stack of papers sitting dead center like bait. Walter and Lenora were already seated. I walked in wearing my off-duty station polo and jeans. No frills, just me. Walter stood up and nodded. "Brianna," he said, "thank you for coming." Lenora didn't stand. She just gave me a once-over and smirked. Her scarf probably cost more than my truck. "We thought it was important to have a conversation," she said, all sweet and shiny. I didn't sit. Walter motioned to the papers. "This is just standard. Something to protect everyone involved. Nothing personal." "Prenup?" I asked flatly. He smiled like I'd caught on quicker than expected. "Exactly. A formality. You understand, being from a working background." Lenora jumped in. "It's about business sense. Financial foresight. We want to make sure you're both secure." I looked at the document, dozens of pages, fine print, legalese. Their last name printed in bold across the top, not mine. "I haven't even seen this before today," I said. Walter chuckled. "It's boilerplate. You don't need to be a lawyer to understand it. I'm sure someone at your station can walk you through it." Lenora added, "It's in everyone's best interest. We'd like it signed before the rehearsal dinner tomorrow." I felt my jaw tighten, my spine straightened. I've stood in front of burning doorways with less heat than I was feeling in that moment. But I didn't raise my voice. That's not how I was trained. I stayed still even, focused, like always. "I'm not signing it," I said. Walter's eyes narrowed. "Then there won't be a wedding." I looked at him. Then at Lenora, who was already reaching for her phone like she had a list of backup brides stashed in her purse. I didn't say another word. I turned, walked out of that room, down those polished stairs, past the valet, and into my truck without a single glance back. I didn't slam the door. I didn't cry. I just gripped the wheel with both hands and stared through the windshield until the shaking in my arms stopped. This wasn't over. I ended up crashing on a ripped-up couch above Kyle's motorcycle shop on Limestone. The whole place smelled like oil and sweat and last night's cigarettes, but at least it was quiet. No silk scarves, no legal traps. Just me and the hum of a busted fan spinning lazy above my head. I didn't sleep much. I stared at the ceiling, played every word from that room back in my head, and tried to figure out what the hell I was supposed to do. Around 4 in the morning, I thought about my first call as a rookie. House fire out on Winchester Road. Everyone on the crew figured I'd freeze. First girl on that squad, youngest by 6 years. But I didn't flinch. I got the kid out before the flames jumped to the second story. After that, they didn't question me again. That memory stuck with me as the sun cracked through the grime-streaked window. I got up, brewed the cheapest coffee known to man on Kyle's dented burner, and leaned on the windowsill with the mug in both hands. The city was just starting to stir. Delivery trucks, early dog walkers. Sky pink and gold like it didn't know what kind of garbage yesterday had been. My phone buzzed on the crate we used as a table. Jason. I stared at it for a second, then picked up. "Hey," he said. "I'm sorry about yesterday." I didn't respond, just waited. "You okay?" he asked, quieter. I went straight in. "Did you know?" He hesitated. I heard it. That pause between guilt and the lie he didn't want to tell. "They mentioned it," he said finally. "Talked about it a few times. I didn't think they'd actually go through with it." "You didn't think?" I kept my voice low, flat. He tried again. "It wasn't supposed to be like that. I didn't know they'd spring it on you like a trap?" I cut him off. "You think it was an accident they did it with 2 days left?" Jason didn't answer. "Quick note, before we go on, how's your day going and where are you joining from?" I let the silence drag for a second, just to make sure it stung. Then I said, "It wasn't the paper, Jason. It was that they thought they could control me, and you let them." I didn't mean to. I was trying to keep the peace. I almost laughed. "You mean keep them comfortable?" He went quiet again. "I just wanted the wedding to be smooth," he said after a beat. "No drama." I looked out the window. A guy in a hoodie was jogging by, earbuds in. No clue the world was falling apart for someone above a bike shop. Then maybe you should have picked someone who fit their mold, I said. That's not fair. Neither is springing a contract on your fiancé, he sighed. So what now? I didn't answer him. Not yet. I was still figuring that out myself. I hung up and tossed the phone onto the couch. My hands were shaking again, but not from nerves this time. From the kind of steady, rolling fire that burns long, the kind you don't even try to put out. People had been underestimating me since I was old enough to swing a hose. My quiet, always mistaken for soft. My job, treated like a blue-collar novelty when it wasn't being looked down on altogether. Like I was playing dress-up instead of carrying bodies and dragging hoses through smoke so thick you couldn't see your own feet. But I had something they didn't know, something that didn't show up on a resume or in a trust fund ledger. I finished the coffee, poured another, and grabbed my duffel from the floor. I had one name in mind. Chelsea Grant. I didn't even pack a change of clothes. I drove straight across town to where Chelsea's firm kept an office above a strip mall in Hamburg. I sat in the lot for 10 minutes before I called her. She picked up on the second ring. "Brianna Cole," she said like she'd just been waiting. "You busy? I can be not busy in 10 minutes. She was already walking toward the diner down the block by the time I pulled in. Same Chelsea, tailored blazer, heels that didn't belong near sticky menus or chipped coffee mugs. She slid into the booth across from me like we were still shift partners grabbing eggs at 3 a.m. during station downtime. "You look like hell," she said, no judgment. "Thanks," I muttered. I ordered coffee. She didn't need to. Hers was already there, black, no sugar. I laid it all out. The prenup, the club ambush, the way Walter looked at me like I was applying for a job I wasn't qualified to want. She listened with that still surgical attention she'd always had. Didn't flinch, didn't blink. When I was done, she took a sip, set the cup down, and said, "You've got ammo. Let's load it." That's why I came to her. Chelsea didn't deal in panic. She dealt in strategy. "I've got something," I told her. "Just never thought I'd have to wave it around." "What kind of something?" she asked. "My grandfather left me a trust, land out in Anderson County, timber rights mostly. Still brings in income. It's modest but steady. He built houses with his bare hands, never owed anyone a damn thing." She nodded. "It in your name?" "Completely. No debt, no liens. I don't touch the principal. I reinvest." Chelsea smiled like I'd just handed her a clean weapon. "Good. That's leverage. Quiet leverage." "I'm not signing their document." "Of course you're not." We didn't play games. She pulled out her tablet, tapped a few things, and got to work. She asked for the exact wording of the prenup. I gave her what I remembered. She typed fast, calculated faster. "Okay," she said after a few minutes. "Here's what we do. Statement of assets, trust declaration, full financial independence clause. No drama, just facts. We'll make it impossible for them to say you're after anything. Because I'm not." "Exactly. So we spell it out loud and legal." She passed the tablet to me. "This outlines what you hold, what you earn, and what you're not touching. It doesn't even glance at their money. And if they still push," Chelsea shrugged, "then they look like fools. Your name's clean. Your position is clear. If Jason marries you, it's love. If they object, they're admitting it never was." I stared at the screen. It was all so calm, solid. Not a tantrum, not a protest, just the truth. "I want it tight," I said. "No fluff. Just numbers and facts." Chelsea smiled again. "I know. I've seen you in full gear during a basement collapse. You don't flinch. This question mark, this is nothing." We signed the first draft right there in the booth. She'd have it finalized, notarized, and sealed by morning. When we stood to leave, she put her hand on my shoulder. "They tried to play offense? You just took back the field." I nodded once. Then walked out the door. I met Jason at a little Italian place we used to go to when things were simpler. 2 glasses of cheap wine, garlic bread you could smell before you walked in. He was already at the table, shifting in his seat like he was waiting for a verdict. "Hey," he said when I sat down. I didn't waste time. "You still think I should sign it?" He looked up, winced a little, then said, "It's just paperwork." "No," I said. "It's not." He rubbed his hand over his mouth like he was trying to keep the words from slipping out wrong. "I'm just saying it's not worth blowing everything up over a few signatures." I leaned in. "Do you think I'm marrying you for money?" He blinked. Number, of course not. "Then why can't you say that with your eyes open?" He glanced away. I sat back in my chair, heart thumping but voice steady. You know what your parents think of me, I said. They don't care about love, they care about control. And you? You let them steer this whole damn thing. Jason didn't argue. He didn't even flinch. Do you know what I did today? I asked. He shook his head. I met with someone. Chelsea Grant. He raised his brows. From the station? She's a financial planner now. She helped me draft my own paperwork. A statement of my assets, my income, my trust declaration. Jason frowned. What for? So I can walk into that ceremony and put it down next to theirs. Show every single person in that room I'm not taking a damn cent from your family. He stared at me, speechless. I have land. In Anderson County, timber income. My grandfather left it to me. I've never touched the principal. I reinvest. Quiet. Solid. I didn't know that because I didn't feel like I had to explain myself to anyone until now. He was quiet for a long time. I could see the gears turning, trying to figure out what this meant for him, for them, for us. You're really going to bring it to the wedding? He asked finally. Yes. That's a big move. No, I said. It's the truth. That's what this is about. They made it about power. I'm making it about facts and love, if that's still what we're doing. He reached for his glass, hand shaking just a little. They're not going to take it well. Not my problem. I'm not doing this to impress them. I'm doing it so no one mistakes me for someone I'm not. Jason nodded slowly. Okay, but I saw it, the hesitation behind his eyes, like he was still figuring out who he was supposed to stand next to. Are you with me? I asked. I want to be. That's not a yes. He took a deep breath. Yes, I'm with you. I didn't smile. I didn't soften. I just looked at him. We'll see. I stood up, dropped cash on the table, and walked out. I didn't wait for the sun to come up. I was already moving, making copies, checking envelopes, printing fresh sets of the declaration Chelsea drafted. Everything had to be clean, signed, notarized, labeled, sealed. I wasn't just proving a point. I was locking it in stone. By mid-morning, I had the folder packed, initials tagged, trust terms printed on letterhead. I dropped them at a notary's office off Tate's Creek, signed every page with my back straight, then left with everything in a flat black case. No frills, just facts. When I got home, I laid out my uniform on the bed. My dress blues, dark navy, pressed, creased just right. I'm not military, but this uniform carries weight. It means service. It means discipline. It means I walk toward danger when others run. It means I've earned every ounce of respect I demand. Chelsea came by around noon. She walked in with her sleeves rolled, clipboard in hand, ready to work. You remember what we talked about? She asked. Short, clean, facts only, I repeated. She nodded. Let the silence do the rest. We rehearsed it twice in my living room. Just the statement, no emotion, no explanation. I didn't need people to feel anything. I needed them to understand. Breathe in the pauses, Chelsea said. That's where it lands. I called the wedding coordinator after she left. Told her I'd be making a brief statement before the vows. She hesitated. You mean before the ceremony starts? Number right before the vows. There was a pause. Then, we've never done that. We're doing it now, Jason called while I was ironing my uniform. Hey, he said soft. Just checking in. You nervous? I asked. A little. Me too. He hesitated. About the statement. I didn't let him finish. I'm not trying to embarrass anyone, Jason, but I'm not walking into this blind. They pushed first. I'm pushing back. With truth. Quiet and clear. He let out a breath. Okay. That was all he said. Not good luck. Not I've got your back. Just okay. But I didn't need his reassurance. I needed the truth to land, in front of them, in front of everyone, and most of all, in front of him. That night, I set it all out on the table. The black folder with the signed papers, my vow card, the dress uniform hanging like armor by the door. I polished the buttons, pressed the collar. The fabric felt heavy in my hands, but right. I tried to sleep, closed my eyes, counted slow. Didn't work. But when the sky started to shift from black to gray, I got up, and I got dressed. I pulled up to the church 5 minutes early, parked along the side, and stepped out into the heat in my gown. My dress was simple. Ivory, satin, no sequins, no veil. Just mine. I carried the garment bag with my uniform over one shoulder and the folder tucked flat against my ribs. Inside, the place was packed, every pew full, soft organ music playing. Air smelled like old wood and fresh lilies. Lenora floated near the front, all satin and smiles, shaking hands like she was the one getting married. Walter worked the room with his suit buttoned tight, clapping backs like he was 2 speeches away from a campaign win. Jason stood by the altar, pale and stiff, fidgeting with his cufflinks. I walked up the aisle slowly, eyes forward, folder in hand. He leaned close when I reached him. "You okay?" I nodded once. Then the music swelled. People stood. The pastor raised his hands. Everything was going according to script. For about 30 seconds. Then Walter cleared his throat, loud enough to stop the music. "Before we proceed," he said, voice projecting across the room like he'd practiced, "there's a matter of formality, a document to be signed before the vows." The pastor blinked. Jason froze. Walter turned and gestured to a small wooden table just to the right of the altar. On it was a crisp white envelope. I recognized the edge of the prenup even from 15 feet away. He smiled. "It'll just take a moment." The room went awkwardly silent. A couple whispers started in the back. Lenora folded her hands in front of her like this was part of the program. That was my cue. I stepped forward, slowly, and set the black folder on the same table beside their envelope. Then I unzipped the garment bag, pulled it open, and lifted out my dress uniform jacket. I slipped it on over the gown. Slow and steady, one arm then the other. It fit like second skin, familiar weight, same feeling I got before walking into a burning structure. Alert, locked in, unshakable. I started fastening each button, top to bottom, each one sharp and solid, a sound you could hear across a quiet church. The crowd wasn't breathing. I could feel every eye in the room on me. Jason whispered, "What are you doing?" But I didn't answer him. I fastened the final button and turned to face the room. The church held its breath. You could hear the clicks of every button as I fastened them. Sharp, metallic, intentional. I didn't rush. I let each one land. Then I turned toward the guests, toward the altar, and spoke loud enough for the back pews to hear. "My name is Brianna Cole. I'm a firefighter. I've risked my life more times than I can count, and I've done it without asking for thanks or favors." Nobody moved. I don't come here asking for anything. I walked to the little wooden table where Walter had laid out his neatly folded trap, and I set my folder beside it. No less official, no less binding. "This is my financial disclosure," I said. "My assets, my inheritance, my future. Fully independent, fully earned. I didn't come here to take anything from anyone." Walter's jaw twitched. Lenora didn't blink. "I'm not signing a document that assumes the worst about me," I said. "Because if you think I'm here to dig gold, then you've never taken the time to know who your son's marrying." Lenora's lip curled first, then her eyes welled up. Not grief, not embarrassment. Pure rage. She looked like she'd swallowed glass. Walter stayed silent, staring at my folder like it had a ticking clock attached to it. Jason took a half step toward me, eyes wide. I had no idea. I didn't look away. "Now you do." He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. Behind the last row of guests, I heard a single clap. Slow, firm, familiar. I turned slightly and saw Hank Matthews, 30-year vet from Station 6, old school, hard-edged, the kind of guy who never applauded anything unless someone literally dragged a child out of a burning wreck. He stood up straight, arms crossed after that one clap. Then another firefighter, Candace from my rookie class, stood and joined him. One slow clap, then another. A couple more, not loud. Not a standing ovation, just steady, honest, enough. Enough to say, "We see her." Walter didn't move. Lenora sat down slowly, like her knees might give out. The pastor cleared his throat. "Shall we continue?" I looked at Jason. His face said everything, torn in half, but something shifting behind his eyes, the weight of the moment pressing in. Still in uniform, still standing straight, I nodded once. "Yes," I said. "Let's continue." The pastor looked between us like he didn't want to get in the way of whatever came next. His voice was careful. "Should we proceed with the ceremony?" Jason turned toward me, his face pale but glassy-eyed, like he'd finally seen something he couldn't unsee. "If you'll still have me." I didn't blink. I never said I wouldn't. He nodded once, but before the pastor could speak again, Walter stepped forward, still clinging to whatever shred of control he thought he had. He started, voice raised. This is completely uncivilized. Private family matters don't belong in public like this. From the side pew, Chelsea stood. Her blazer was sharp, her tone sharper. Actually, she said loud and calm, this is called transparency. It's how adults handle conflict. In the open, with accountability. Walter looked like he wanted to spit nails, but Chelsea didn't flinch. Then Lenora hissed across the aisle, voice low and bitter. You've humiliated this family? Jason turned to her, and for once, for the first damn time since all this started, he didn't look away. No, he said steady. You did. Her mouth snapped shut. The pastor, clearly relieved to have the floor again, gave a short nod. Then let us begin. The room stayed quiet, no music, no whispers, just breath and weight, and a stillness that finally felt earned. We moved to the center of the altar. Jason took my hands. His palms were warm and shaking. I didn't need to say anything else. I had said enough. We went through the vows, line by line. No theatrics. No extra flourishes, just words, spoken clean and clear. When it was his turn, Jason looked right at me, no blinking, no shifting, and said, I do. It didn't sound rehearsed. It didn't sound handed down from a script someone else wrote. It sounded like a choice. His. The reception was already in swing when we walked into the hall. Music playing, plates clinking, people half laughing like they weren't sure if they should pretend nothing happened. Jason and I stepped in together. I still had the uniform jacket on over my dress. I hadn't taken it off. Wouldn't until the night was over. Walter found me near the drink table. Glass of scotch in one hand, that politician's smile glued back on. Truce? He asked, offering the glass. I didn't take it. I'm not here for war, I said. I just won't be owned. His grin faltered for half a second before he gave a polite nod and walked off. Lenora hovered 10 steps behind him like a shadow with lipstick. She came up slower, eyes narrowed. You'll find our family hard to impress, she said. I didn't blink. I'm not here to impress you, she bristled. I'm here to build something with Jason, I added. If you want to be part of it, that's up to you. She didn't answer, just turned and glided off like someone late for a fake emergency. People kept coming up all evening, friends, coworkers, even a couple of Jason's relatives I didn't know. Some just nodded. Others pulled me aside. That was the most honest thing I've ever seen at a wedding, one woman whispered. Took guts. An older man in suspenders gave me a thumbs up before shuffling back to the dance floor. I didn't say much. I didn't need to. Jason stuck close, didn't let go of my hand once. Even when his cousins dragged him into photos or his aunt tried to pull him into some awkward conversation, his fingers stayed wrapped around mine. And I felt that, not just physically, but for real. A steady grip, not performance, not nerves, just presence. That mattered more than all of it. We slipped out the side door after the cake had been cut, and the music started drifting into wedding reception chaos. No announcement, no big send-off, just a quiet step out onto the back patio. The air was finally cool. After a day of sweat and fire, it felt like the world had finally let out a breath. The stars were sharp against the black sky, and for once, I didn't feel like I had to stand tall for anyone. Jason leaned against the wooden railing, eyes on the gravel path below. I'll never forget what you did today, he said. I stood beside him, still in the uniform jacket, the satin of my gown brushing against my boots. It wasn't about making a scene, I said. It was about not being erased. He nodded once, slowly. Behind us, through the half-cracked door, I heard Lenora's voice, crisp, clipped, giving instructions to the waitstaff, directing cleanup, organizing leftovers. Loud enough to be heard, but not meant for me. She hadn't spoken to me since the ceremony. Didn't matter. The war was over. Jason and I didn't say much else. We walked to the truck, hand in hand. No rush, no show. Just silence, no champagne, no confetti. Just peace. On the ride home, he didn't let go of my hand once. Even when we hit red lights, he glanced over like he was checking to make sure I was still there. Still his. At our apartment, I walked straight to the closet and hung the uniform carefully. Every ribbon, every crease, every button, all earned. Jason stood in the doorway, watching me. Will you ever stop being that strong? I looked at him. I hope not, because strength wasn't about fire or noise. It was this: the quiet that holds, the kind that wins,